Nice.
Hey. Hey, PK.
What's up, girl? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You look fabulous as usual, ladies and gentlemen. That is my beautiful and amazing co-host of That Part Podcast 305, Janae Tate from High Low News.
Hey, PK. They don't even know the magic of production, so that's why I'm laughing. It's an inside joke. But hey, PK, good to see you for
Yes,
another episode.
yes. Glad to be here for another episode. This is actually our final episode of Series 1. Can you
Yes.
imagine
Oh
we've
my
done,
God.
well, after this one, we have done 8 shows.
Ooh, it feels like 80, the energy, but
Yeah.
and it feels but here's a good thing, the thing I like about it, it feels familiar and it feels like we've been doing this forever,
Yeah, it
and I
does.
like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I love it too. That's called chemistry, by the way.
Is
And we
it?
got that. We got that. So we want to encourage you. We're going to be talking to. We'll let you know who we'll be talking to after we read the bio. But we want to encourage you to stick around after the interview. We have something called the aftermath, where we break down the interview right after the interview, and then we get into some other topics that may definitely interest you. So we encourage everybody to take on the entire show. Right now, we'd like to ask you to share. So if you're on right now, you're watching it, thank you very much. We love and appreciate you. But before we bring on our guests, we want to make sure the room is popping and everyone's able to engage. So please share, this with your friends and your family, and with everyone you can. Please share. Definitely subscribe.
Yeah, yeah, hit that like button, hit
Yeah,
that share button, and make sure you following us on Instagram as well. But yeah, PK, this has been an amazing season. I like you said, I couldn't imagine doing this with anybody else but you, and it's just been a fun ride. And
yeah.
like you said, today we're gonna be talking about some juicy topics. Things that have been happening not just locally but even around the country, because I just got back from Chicago at the NABJ, National Association for Black Journalists. And if you guys saw any of the viral moments with Donald Trump, that's the conference I was at. So we
I
got a
can't
little
wait to
tea.
dig into that at the aftermath, girl. After the
I
show,
know.
the
So y'all gotta make
aftermath.
sure y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, because I got some tea that I learned from the convention about some things that happen behind the scenes, but just also to us
Look
sharing
at you with the
some information.
teasers, girl. I love that. That's how you hook them.
I know. I'm like, I want them to stay on.
Good job, JT. All right, so you ready to bring on our guest?
Yes, let's do it. I think they're gonna really, really enjoy this one.
All right, yeah, I hailed this guest as the firecracker last week, so I don't think he's gonna disappoint. But he grew up in South Dade public housing and went on to earn his bachelor's degree from Howard University and his Juris Doctorate from Thurgood Marshall School of Law. He was first elected to the Florida House of Representatives in 2012 for Florida House District 117, served as the minority leader from 2018 to 2020. And then he was elected as Miami-Dade County Commissioner for District 9. This commissioner is an accomplished attorney and the author of a best-selling book, Conquering Hope, The Life You Were Destined to Live. His numerous, and when I say numerous appellations include the Florida Title Lawyers Association, Wilkie D. Ferguson Bar Association, and the Greater Miami Service Corps, where he serves as a board member. He is also president and founder of Tunot. Did I say it right? Tunoit Media and
I think it's
Publishing.
too noise. I'm not
Tunoit?
sure, but
Okay,
I like too
Tunoit.
noise.
I try to say it all fancy. And founder of Yale, not the college, but the Young Advocates Leading by Example. And he's also the president of Transitions Incorporated. He has been named as one of Miami's rising voices by AT&T and the Miami Herald, and earned the Florida Self-Sufficient Award in 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Commissioner Kionne McGhee.
Yay!
Yay!
The fuck?
Commissioner Kionne McGhee in the building.
Hey, thank y'all for having me, man. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be standing before y'all.
Man, thank you for
All right.
taking the time to doing it, man. We really excited about you being on this show. As a matter of fact, I think the last episode, Janae with the mayor, I hailed this one as our firecracker interview, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to be on my best behavior. I'm gonna be on my best behavior.
Nah, you're great, man. You're great. You're great, brother.
But thank you for joining us, Commissioner McGhee. It's a pleasure to work with you and to speak with you today. And I'm going to jump right in. On our show, it's an importance to talk about the importance of voting and being civically engaged. And you being in the world of being an elected official and a commissioner, I know you know all why it's important to be civically engaged and to vote. And so we wanted to have everyone that we interviewed this season to tell in their own words why they think it's important to vote and to be civically engaged, especially in this climate that we're in.
Well, and thank you for the question. The truth of the matter is, two words describe it: that part, right? You have to remember that our history is pretty much fought for us to have representation, and the best representation is our vote. Oftentimes, we become disillusioned at the reality of politics and policy, and sometimes just the public attributes that we're seeing that are not contributing to our upbringing and our upbeat and uh, our uplifting of the communities. But what we found throughout history is that our vote is our representation. So to not vote is to remove yourself from the table of representation. So we have to encourage everybody at the end of the day. If you want to feel upbeat, uplift, if you want to bring forth some new ideas to the community, you have to have your representation card to enter into this game. And this game is life. And the way life works, you have to have the ability to sit at the table, make your demands, and get what you know your community deserves.
That's
I
what's
love it.
up. We appreciate that. One thing I like about you, Commissioner, is your story. I think you have such an amazing story. And, I was even telling Janae, like, I mean, we know your story, but, I wanted to give the audience an opportunity to hear about your story. You have an interesting story about
Yeah.
how you overcame challenges to become the successful person that you are today. And I would like our audience to hear it from your mouth.
Well, listen, and thank you very much. Great question. And I always say my question is one of redemption. I truly believe God felt sorry for me after I've gone through so much, right? And He gave me an opportunity to showcase the world that no matter how far you beneath, you can always get ahead just simply by keep going. Growing up in elementary school, I was labeled emotionally handicapped. I had an IQ level of a 74, 76, and a 78. By all standards, many had already declared that I was borderline. Um, I was borderline mentally retarded. Those were the most derogatory words I had heard in my life. And today, and I still believe those are some of the worst words you can use towards any other human being. Um, but I had a praying mother. I had a great community who stood with me. I had opportunities to get to the next level, and I took those opportunities uh, in spite and despite whatever those obstacles were. I actually found myself as an ex-offender, being falsely arrested and accused for a crime I didn't commit, facing a lengthy prison sentence if I had been found guilty. But as again, another opportunity opened up, and I was found not guilty, and some of the charges were actually dismissed. And I was able to take that opportunity and find my way into the hallways of Howard University, where I received my BA and became the man that I am today. I've written 2 books, have a beautiful wife with 3 beautiful children. And my job now is to give back to the community similar to how they gave back to me back in the day.
That's what's
Love
up,
it.
man. Thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. All right. Well, listen, we know that you've been vocal about the MetroRail expansion in South Dade. I love that. Can you tell us where that currently stands?
Well, my position hasn't changed. I said it before and I'll say it again. The best way to elevate a community is to elevate a community through transportation and through opportunity and through exposure. When one of those pillars is missing from the equation of life, we find ourselves sometimes not being at the forefront of all issues that are facing our communities. Particularly speaking, the Metro Rail, without a question, will save millions of dollars to the great folk in the South Dade community. When I was a state representative, we fought that fight. When I was a kid in the community, realizing that I wanted to go from Homestead to Miami Beach, or from Homestead to 79th Street Flea Market, right? We needed the rail. But unfortunately, the powers to be at that time didn't realize and or completely disregarded um, what they thought of us, and left us here without adequate transportation. So that's why I've always been a huge proponent of MetroRail. I do believe that the system in and of itself will elevate and change the whole dynamics of the South the day that the MetroRail is actually built here in the South Dade community.
Well, we wish you
And
luck on that, and I'm with you on that as well. I think it's definitely deserving, and and everything you said is spot on.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and I
yeah.
have a quick
We truly need it.
Yeah.
We truly need it.
I have a quick follow-up to that. Do you have any timeline or like any, I guess, expectations that we could put out there for the community on what's working or in the works as far as the Metro coming to South Dade?
Yeah, one of the things I think the community recognizes that, number one, I'm the biggest advocate for MetroRail for the South. They've seen it. They've stood with me. The pastors have stood with me. The community leaders have stood with me. It's a partnership here, and the South has always been one of those family-oriented type of communities that if it affects one, it affects all. So that's how we've always approached everything. From day one, I've always said that MetroRail has to be the key factor in getting this opportunity for the South to be able to compete. One of the things that they used in the past to hold us back from getting rail, they said that we didn't have the density. They said that people wouldn't ride the rail. And so they put in these little obstacles, such as making sure that at a certain particular moment, that ridership had to hit a particular peak in order for us to even be considered for MetroRail in the South Dade community. But what I can tell you is one of the first orders of business I conducted once I got into the commission, I had that requirement removed. So right now, what we're seeing is an active movement towards securing dollars and securing more resources to bring forth that opportunity for MetroRail for the South.
Awesome.
Thank you for that clarity. And just switching gears a little bit more, this is about events and things happening in South Dade. And so, something that you've actually been a champion of has been bringing entertainment to the South Dade,
Yeah,
world class entertainment like a Jazz in the Heights, and that's been an amazing turnout event, over 10,000 people attending. And so, I wanted to talk to you about
yeah.
other events that take place or want to take place in the South as you see reunion picnics like West Fest and Chief Hall Picnic. I've seen my brothers and sisters in the South wanting to do their own reunion picnics. And so a little birdie on the street told me that it's been a little tough trying to get permits or trying to get approval. And one of the things that was said is that when you look at something like IOCHO or Ultrafest, they're not having to prove themselves or to say like why they
Right.
need to be able to use, I guess, county facilities to host their reunion picnics. And so I just wanted to know, like, any insight from you on what people could do to be able to bring those there and just, entertainment in general happening in South Dade.
Well, yes, and look, the truth of the matter, when it comes down to entertainment in the South, our job is to make sure we have a safe and organized event for families to come out and enjoy. Number two, we want to make sure it's business worthy for our small businesses. Our small businesses have to be part of that equation. And when we're talking about entertainment, i.e., we're talking about our restaurants, our food trucks, our vendors, et cetera. As it relates to permitting, we haven't run into that issue. I haven't run into that issue from individuals who want to host their reunions here in the South. We had the Perrine reunion, the Goose reunion, although it rained. You have the Homestead Broncos. They just had their reunions at the park here. So we're having the reunions. We're having a great time, and people are really pumped about what's happening in the South. Particularly, the people are really excited about the fact that when we do these events and we do them in a safe manner and we do them by the books, small businesses are winning. And what we're seeing across the board is, especially in the South, if you live in District 9 or District 8 and you come to any one of our events, you're eating as a small business. Why? Because we're not charging you to participate. We're allowing you to set up, and we're allowing you to share your wealth, whether it's through food, through knowledge, or just through other resources with the community so that we can all win at the end of the day.
I love that. Well, listen, I've been invited to have people manifest down south, so I could attest to the South being open to having stuff down there. And I remember because I used to have a girlfriend that lived down south back in the days, and there wasn't really much going on in the South. And I've noticed since you've been commissioner down there are more events and more things happening in the South. I remember even working with the radio station. We'd go down to the flea market down there, and they'd be like, "Man, nobody will ever come. They forget about us." But it's a different story now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Under your leadership. So I just want to be able to give you your props for that as well, because I have noticed the change.
And I appreciate that. And look, the mindset has changed here, right? We recognize that the South is where the land is. We understand the South is, nestled in between uh, uh, the Everglades and the Bay. We understand that to the south of us, we have the Florida Keys, and to the north of us, we have the beaches. So when you think of the South, you think of home away from home, but it's also could be considered that still country feel, but also have that city-like atmosphere. So the South is uniquely situated to bring about opportunities for especially small businesses, families who want to move and have greater acreages for their kids to play and grow up on. To the west of us, we have the farms, right? And to the east of us, we have our, matter of fact, probably Keith, we have a beach here also. And we also have the Homestead Air Reserve base. So the South has all the ingredients that are needed to make and compete with other areas of the county. Just that, again, like you alluded to earlier, it's just that for so long, everyone looked at the South as a stepchild. And I can honestly tell you now, the South is no longer the stepchild. The South is looking to lead the entire county as it relates to economics, as it relates to the small businesses, as it relates to the family-oriented entertainment. We're going to do it. As a matter of fact, what we're seeing right now across the board, and you can ask pretty much any small business that has come through our small business boot camp, they are winning. We're getting them situated with the county. We're getting them their license. We're getting them situated with the state by paying for their incorporation fees. We're getting them corporate books. We're taking them on field trips to see how other corporations are actually ran. We're bringing in CEOs to meet with them, to give them, tips on how to run a business and what to do and what not to do. But the biggest thing we're giving them is an opportunity, something that hasn't been done in such a long period of time. So you're starting to see that excitement, and it's coming out, particularly with some of the legislation that we've pushed. We have the Costco's that's coming down here now that we had to fight to get. We have the entertainment district, which is going to be the largest container park entertainment district in the world at 27 or 26 acres. We have a big announcement that's coming out hopefully by the end of next week. We just solidified that. I just found out that that's actually going to happen based on the legislation I pushed through. We also are looking at bringing in thousands of jobs through the South Dade Logistics Center, legislation that we pushed through to bring forth some top Fortune 500 companies within the South Dade community. As a matter of fact, those individuals have already signed their letters of intent to relocate here once the issue is resolved in the courts. We also have the expansion of the Kendall Parkway. The courts have found that, hey, we in fact can have more opportunities to bring people south by expanding the roads. And the biggest thing that I'm truly proud about that's taking place in the South was the legislation that I pushed through for the agritourism. A lot of people understand that the South is really about agriculture. But what happens, Papa Keith, when you take agriculture and you put tourism with it? You get agritourism. Now, why is that so important? It's because now you're allowing for folk who are tourists to come in and see our agriculture land. And why is that important? It's because when they come out and they support the farmers, what ends up happening is the farmers are not now forced to sell their properties to big developers. What happens when you don't have to sell to big developers? You don't get a concrete jungle. What you do have is an opportunity for generational wealth to actually stay within that family. And that has been the underlying key factor that has driven this administration under my leadership to make sure that we make sure these families are better off today than they were yesterday. So when somebody asks a question about the South, the only thing we're doing right now is letting folk know they can tap into generational wealth, and we're going to show them how to do it. Lastly, I can tell you this, Artsy 305. a lot of our people in the South, they had reservations about traveling to the Design District, to Wynwood, doing Art Basel because of the type of the length of driving, right? They would have to drive an hour up, then hour back, and risk injuries, risk car accident, risk resources. Now we partner up with the Homestead Motorsport Speedway here, where we do RC 305. We bring in some of the top artists from all over the nation. It's a 3-day event, and we are actually allowing for our artists and our local artists to gain recognition and also make money from their art. And thus far, I can tell you, we've already surpassed 12,000 people attending our RC 305 event. And I do believe this year is going to be even larger, because we're expecting to make a huge announcement of who's going to be backing us to make sure that this thing is something to be seen for the years to come.
We love it, boy.
Like, so you telling me I got some bad tea, because it ain't no problem having an event in South Dade, is what you telling me.
No, as a matter of fact, we want y'all to come here. We're asking you to come fellowship with us. I'm partnering up with Reggie Leon in Miami Gardens. We're gonna put on the world's largest karaoke event.
Wow.
And so we believe we can possibly turn out about 15,000, 20,000, and we can do that like that, because of the North and the South are finally coming together. And then when Jazz in the Heights happened with Keith Sweat on November the 2nd, we're going to make some more announcements of some more individuals who are going to join forces with him. You're going to see it. We're here. We're creating generational wealth for our people. And I do believe government has a role in doing that. Government no longer can sit on the sideline and just accept everybody's tax dollars and tell them to be happy with whatever services they're getting. Government must be a leading advocate for generational wealth. And how do we do this? We hold government feet to the fire, whether it's me, whether it's someone else, but we have to hold government feet to the fire. Create generational wealth. If you can't create it, get out of the way.
That part.
That part.
That part. Wow. Janae, this has been good so far, man. You've delivered, Commissioner.
Nah, man. Look, Papa Keith, we understand how this stuff works, man. And we sometimes forget that, folks such as yourself and Janae, Tammy, we have a voice, we have a platform. And all of us on this call right now, we're fairly successful, right? And what good is having all this success and all this access to success, and we're not willing to share it? I watch you all the time, Papa Keith. I listen to you all the time. And you know how many people truly just want to be in your presence so they can just grab, parts of that wisdom from you so that they can take it and use it in their life. And Janae, when you're pushing out high-low news and everybody wants to know, well, how did she write that? How did she become a great journalist? Those are the type of things that we have to be willing to open ourselves up and give to the people. I'm a big believer, the more we give, the better the society will end up being. And that's just the truth. It's at the core of me. That's what I truly believe. When I was sitting in jail, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to get through, right? When I was sitting in special education, I wasn't quite sure how to put my subject and verbs together to make them work out, right? Those things I didn't know. When I was laughed at and said that I could never make it because they claimed that I had learning disabilities, emotionally disturbed and emotionally handicapped. Hell, I had a 1.9 GPA. I think I scored a 580 on the SATs. And if I recall correctly, I think they gave me 300 points for signing my name. But at every step of the way, there was someone there to remind me that an opportunity was also there for me to overcome those issues. And so whenever I have an opportunity to expose myself and show my vulnerabilities, I will do it, because I do believe that is going to benefit the people overall at the end of the day. No longer can we tell people how to feel. We must show them how to feel. And when they see people such as yourself, Papa Keith and Janae and Tammy, when they see y'all and they see me, and we're opening ourselves up and showing our vulnerabilities and saying, hey, I did this, but look where I am now, it gives them the right. It gives them the right to feel better about themselves and get to the next level.
What's next for Commissioner Kionne McGhee, man? Because, just we do a lot of these interviews and we connect with a lot of amazing politicians, and it's always about the trajectory, right? Like what's next. And this is not
Yeah.
necessarily speaking to
Yeah.
next, like in the next year or two, but just like where would you like to see your political career go?
Well, you got me. That's a good question. First, let me say to the community, um, thank you for reelecting me for another 4 years without opposition. Um, this community brought me back without allowing others to jump in the race. They kept everybody out, and they said we want to see him for an additional 4 years. So I have to say thank you for that. But Papa Keith, the question is about politics. I want to move more towards the policy side, right? Because in politics, once you got the birth certificate and you got your social security number, or you got your green card, or you got your passport, you got your driver's license, you became a ward of politics. You became that thing. You are it. You are in it. There's no way. The only way out is death. We're politics all around us. I want to do something that's more so dealing with kids who have disabilities, who've been told that they'll never amount to anything. I want to speak directly to that population because I do believe that population is gifted. However, our society has told them differently due to a misunderstanding of our differences. When I was told I was special, hell, Papa Keys, I didn't understand that the special that they thought. I would use the exact same special to say I am special, right? There's no two Kionne McGhees out there. And whether they saw what they believed or interpret at the time as a shortcoming, for me, I can't help that they misinterpret what special meant for me. So my job now is to find every kid out there that I can touch, especially the ones we just had as our interns. We had over 20 interns in my office. And everybody knows if they want to bring their kids to learn anything about life, how to overcome struggles, they bring them here and they drop them off. And I take care of them. My team, we take care of them. We get them to the next level. We give them their laptops. We give them their bus passes. We feed them every day and we give them life lessons. But there is something about those kids who've been called special. And our job right now, whether we're politicians, personalities, or journalists, we have to always tell them that they don't have to turn the knob on the stove up all the way to high. They can just turn it notch by notch and understand that the temperature, just turn it softly and turn it slowly. They eventually will get to the full throttle and they will eventually get to the full heat. And that's where I want to be. I want to be at that table where we're reminding these kids that they're special in a way that makes them want to do more and do better. And last thing, let me just say this. I remember, and I'm playing with my ring because whenever I play with my ring and I'm talking about this story, because I've tried out to get emotional about it, I still remember sitting in, I think I was in the fourth grade, and one of my friends he had drowned the day before. And we were sitting, they brought us in and we sat in the classroom and they're asking us questions, how do you feel? Um, and I remember telling one of the psychiatrists and a psychologist, because remember, we were in those special classes they deemed special, um, with no windows, and about 10 or 15 of us. And I remember telling the psychologist and a psychiatrist that one of these days, when the opportunity presents itself, we're going to take on the world on behalf of the folk who've been marginalized. I didn't use the word marginalized at the time, but I used the words left out because I knew then at an early age that it wasn't normal to have a psychologist and a psychiatrist in a room with no windows to talk to kids who had just lost their friends to a drowning and use us at that particular moment to check off a box to justify their checks, to justify their positions at that school. I knew at that moment there was something wrong, fundamentally wrong with the system. And that's when I told her that one of these days, when I, as Pac would say, when I got my money up and I got my weight up, I would come back and defend those people. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. We're here. We're here.
That's what's up.
That's a
Wow.
beautiful story. Look, I know you
Yes.
have to run. I appreciate you for taking time. We need a part two because I would like to hear the story of how you overcame, like what was the turning point of how you got out of those classes and got to college, and even just more stuff about South Dade and the inner workings. Because I feel like there's a whole ecosystem and a culture to South Dade that people don't know about. So I know we can't really dig into it unless you're giving me about 5 more minutes. But we would definitely need to have you back on the show because there's a lot going on in South Dade that we need to know more about.
Damn! I can't believe it froze up when you were getting. Oh,
I
Janae.
know. And Kionne has an amazing story. And so I'm like, I want to know more about it. Like, how do you go from kid with, mental disabilities or people saying that you have them to attorney, a college graduate, commissioner, state representative? Like, that's an amazing story. I wanted more
Yeah,
tea.
and I do love his story. So I think it was a great suggestion that we said we have him back. I would definitely like to have us dig in a little deeper, like you said about the South and stuff like that. But shout outs to Commissioner Kionne McGhee for definitely stepping up that part. Podcast 305. We hope you enjoyed it. I can have my drink now. This is
I
the
needed
aftermath, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm mad. I need my drink. My bartender isn't here at the house, so I can't call on my drink from
I
the
know we
room.
were just about to hit him with some 5 more minutes, man, and then the damn thing froze up.
I know. But I mean, I'm grateful because I know that he had a flight to catch and get ready for. And so, him having tech difficulties, I was like, oh damn it. I was definitely gonna try to squeeze more out of him,
Right,
but
right, right.
we lost him as that happened. But I spoke to his people and they were like, yeah, definitely could come back. And we got to figure that out for season 2 or season 3 because the South definitely got something to say. And
Yeah, yeah.
Keone has been doing his thing down there. And regardless of, detractors or people who may not be the biggest fan of his, I've seen it over the years. And I know nobody's perfect and everything they do is not going to be, everybody's going to be a fan of, but I definitely feel like, Keone tries his best and does the best.
Well, one thing I didn't get a chance to ask him as well. That definitely, next time we interview, I'd like to ask him. I didn't get a chance to talk about the crime down south and some things he's implementing to help suppress some of the gun violence down south. We got some amazing people down there that are organizations and stuff like that have been mothers against um I forgot the thing the
Mothers Against Gun Violence, is it? I know it's
yeah.
oh, now I'm mad. Her name. Oh, I want to say her name. She gonna be so mad at us
I know she's gonna be
because
mad at both of us.
she just recently had her walk,
Yes, she did.
and she did. And I
And
know Mothers
so I
Against
would have
Gun
definitely liked
Violence.
to ask her, about that because you know, the South has had its and continues to have its issues with gun violence down there. So I think I missed to tap in on that with him, and then I think the other miss I had was to inquire about some of the agencies that have pulled out from down south, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and so I wanted to talk about like what was still there because um accessibility and like you said an hour drive into the city center or downtown Miami-Dade, that can be a lot, especially for low income people. So I wanted to know, from us hearing from people who live down south that they wish they had more services. I wanted to know what was still available for people and how can they be able to access county services.
that's what's
And
up.
so that was something I wanted to ask as well.
But I like he had a nice backdrop. He spoke very well. Um, he looked well. It looked very professional. He took this very seriously. So I had a big appreciation for that. Very, came across very down to earth. Very
Yeah.
likable. Like I already told you before, I like his story. You know what I'm saying? So it was good to hear that again. You know, um, and
I
just
appreciate that too, and no shade to anybody else because I think not everybody has a studio that they have access to. Because Commissioner McGhee and I have talked offline about me possibly using his studio that he has in South Dade. And I
Gotcha.
love the fact that he understood, like he's saying production terms, but like you said, it meant something. Like it was special to the fact that he had that setup. That was like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm
yeah,
taking this seriously. It felt like as if he was doing a drop for CNN or MSNBC or Fox
exactly.
News. If you're a fan of that, like I appreciate
We
that, or
love
even
that
our
shit.
local ones. So the fact that he came with his blazer on, the lighting, the camera was on point. And side note, I had to look it up real quick because I did not want to forget that because Romania Dukes, that is her
Mania.
name. Um, Victims of Gun Violence is who she supports, and I want to say a mother's fighting for justice. That is the name of her organization. She recently had her walk in South Dade, I think about 2 weeks ago. PK, she DM'd me and was like, I'm mad at y'all.
I
Y'all
know
didn't
she
come. I
is.
was like, I'm out of town. I'm out of town. But I was like, definitely want to give her that shout out and congratulations for the work that she's been doing in South Dade. And I
Been
know
doing
she
it.
works
She's
with
always
the
there when
commissioner too.
we need her too.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
at some point we gotta I wanted us to start having conversations with people in the community who do like work that intersects with policy, and she's definitely somebody on the South End that we gotta have a conversation with because
yeah.
she's in the trenches.
We're gonna open this thing up wide. We're really excited about that podcast
Hmm.
305, and we're coming up with so many different ideas and nuances. Pretty much series two. We we're really excited about. This is the last of series one. I can't believe
Hmm.
we've done 8 of these.
I know. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Right?
Yo, how do you feel like to end it off with the commissioner? We started with Dwight and Robert Dempster and so
Yeah.
many people, amazing people throughout the season. From Chevron,
Chairman
Senator
Oliver
Chevron
Gilbert.
Jones, Chairman Gilbert, Mayor Kava.
Yeah.
Um, oh my gosh. Oh, the Willis and Joe, that was a good one
That
too.
was really good. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
And then
feel
we
like
had
we're leaving
Jasmine
somebody out.
Rogers.
Oh, Jasmine and Brian, they brought the
Yeah.
heat.
Yep. So next series we're really, really, really excited to take it up another level. But you just saying that because we do this in series, that the series kind of spread throughout the year. So there are certain times where we can offer opportunities where it doesn't have to be talking to necessarily politicians or people, of that nature, that we can actually probably get and tap in with some folks that are just doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that they're gonna be in for a treat coming for season 2. Like, I'm excited.
Absolutely. Now this is
I've
a
been
little
having people what? I know
no,
I was gonna say I've been having people like, when you gonna put me on? I'm like, what's come on, like what we doing? Like, I know I can say some stuff just as good as the other people.
right, right, right. We got the waiting list popping off. I love it, man. We just love the fact that people are engaging and they're appreciating it, and just subscribe. Whether you just been watching us from episode 1 on this first series, or you just tapping in on the last one that we're doing for this series. We encourage you to watch the rest of the shows that the episodes that we've delivered, and really tap in. It's all really good stuff, and it's all a range of different things that you could absorb from. But differently, Janae, I wanted to, sidebar. We
Uh-huh.
recently just came back from Chicago. I want you to kind of talk about that. You were at the National Journalist, Black Journalists.
Yeah,
Uh,
NABJ, National Association for Black Journalists.
yeah, so you were just there in Chicago, and I know the Trump thing happened there. I would love to hear you talk about that a little bit, just your experience.
Oh yeah, Hello News was definitely in the building. Me and my managing editor, who was also my sister, Derica James, we were there in Chicago at NABJ. And so unfortunately, I was not able to get into the room. And it's because I was volunteering during the same time
Oh yeah,
that
you told me. Yeah.
President Trump or former President Trump was there. And so I had already signed up for this shift to volunteer during the conference. And I was like, God damn it, I wish. However, I'm like literally like right outside of the room, like volunteering, greeting people, but watching it live on YouTube as he's there inside the next room, just putting on a whole show that I knew he would. And
Right.
here's the overall consensus from NABJ membership, especially people who attended. They were not happy with what leadership of our organization did. And I agree
Did
with
he
them.
resign?
No, he didn't resign. He gets elected. So he
Oh,
has like a couple of more years. Like the way the board works, they get elected their um for their positions. And so yeah, I think he got elected last year, if I'm not mistaken. But nevertheless, for me, when I saw it, like as someone attending, I was like, this is not gonna go well. I was like, wow, they got Trump. It's gonna be crazy. The nosy journalist in me wanted to go to see like what type of train wreck is this gonna be. But I had no expectations of it going well. Like I knew it was
right,
gonna
right.
be something crazy, and it was viral, it was everywhere. And the thing that I was looking and I saw that some people from like reporters were talking about it, like Phil Lewis, who's a popular a black journalist, and Roland Martin. They had some tea about what happened. And so I don't know if anybody saw the part. There's a part of the interview or the Q&A with President Trump where he immediately comes in and said, y'all had me waiting and y'all
Yeah,
equipment ain't working and
yeah, yeah.
y'all was running 30 minutes late. The tea is the reason why we were late or it started late is because he didn't want to come out because they have fact checkers. And so he was like, we don't want you guys to fact check. So they're going back and forth backstage, unbeknownst to us and the audience and people watching at home. And so he comes out and immediately used coded language, and anybody, it immediately felt like to me, and other people echoed it, that it felt like, oh, y'all in words can't get y'all stuff together. Y'all the ones always on CP time. Like that was the coded language,
Right,
and
right.
that's
I
how I
thought that.
received it.
I felt that too. Yeah.
And then also too, just the image of him coming at a black woman on stage in front of a room of black journalists, like
Do
it
you think
just
she was
felt
rude?
problematic.
In your honest opinion?
No, she wasn't rude. Like here's the thing, she actually said, hello, thank you for coming. So he
And he
immediately,
said you didn't even greet me.
yes. And so he immediately lied, and we all know this is what he does. So him coming into our safe space, that just felt problematic. It felt disrespectful. It was
Weird.
embarrassing. It was very weird, and I felt like the men. First of all, that was a good point. It should have been a man on that panel as well, and also too, I think our president should have immediately. Somebody from leadership should have immediately stood up in real time and said, "That's not true. You're not going to come here and make it seem like our equipment is faulty and that we were just late just because you didn't want a fact checker." And if the whole shit would have ended at that point, oh well. But what you're not going to do is make us seem like we are unprofessional. We got cheap equipment, just, the stereotype of black people not being able to have their stuff together, or our business is janky. You're not going to come here and do that. And so I immediately was disappointed when I found out that news, that's exactly what happened, and that those black journalists were subject to that from his nastiness. Because I just, it to me, like something about it, like spiritually doesn't feel good. Like I didn't like that
Gotcha.
at all.
Well, I wanted to know from your perspective, and thank you so much for sharing that. If you
Mm.
don't mind, we don't get a lot of chance to talk about Trump, and we don't get a lot of chance to talk about Republicans. So I'm figuring I'm just gonna throw these stuff in here on the last show. I actually saw something that you know it just really bugged me, but in a weird way. So I was watching a Trump rally, and he brought up the lady that he met at Chick-fil-A or something like that.
Oh, I ain't even see.
It was a lady that he met on his campaign trail that knew everything about him and greeted him and whatever. And he had brought her up, right? He's like, a matter of fact, come up here. But it's a lady, it was something that went viral. Like he had went to, I don't know, I think he might have been to the airport or somewhere he was, and it was a food place. And she came up to him and knew things about him and was like, oh, Trump and da-da-da and all this kind of stuff. I remember it did go viral, right? So she was at one of his stops, and he let her come up on stage and talk. And what was the issue for me is that he gave her a platform to speak, and she has an organization just like how we have Just Vote Period, right? She was given an opportunity to big up Trump, of course, but then talk about the organization and our platform as providing more information and assistance to people who want to get involved with the process, right? And I was like, wow. that really kind of messed with me in the sense of like, sometimes I struggle with how like the Dems operate, versus the Republicans. The Republicans just do what they feel and don't apologize later. You know how they say, how the saying is like, um, do what you want and then ask for forgiveness. How does it go?
The ask for permission, you ask for forgiveness.
Right. So like for instance, they don't even like after they just do and they don't even ask for forgiveness. Where to me the Dems more walk on eggshells and overthink things and stuff like that. And so the thing for me that kind of upset me is that to see how he was able to give her, a black woman with her own organization and an opportunity to have that platform to be able to speak about her advocacy, whether it's for him or whatever, and I was like, damn, you think that would have ever happened, on the Dem side, and that's the frustrating part for me.
But here's the thing. Also, one, she's a token. They're using it for the look. And so that makes it problematic. So it's to me, it's not the same. Also, too, just from pure numbers, there are a lot of Democratic groups that do voter education and
Right,
information that
right,
Black people are leading. So it's almost like, and I hate to say it this way, it's like you're less special if you're doing it from a Democratic party, if you're leaning more left or even moderate. So the Republican Party, I promise you, if we were doing this and we leaned more Republican, we would have the platform. We would be getting all the calls and all the things. And even though we're nonpartisan and we welcome everybody, like I still would love to interview Republican candidates, even Donald Trump, if he would give us that. Like
they just choose
I
not to give us that opportunity because we have tried, for the record.
yeah, and yeah, we've reached out to to Republican candidates and elected officials as well, even putting out APP and said APB, at least I did on social media. I was like, can y'all please connect me to Republican candidates? I don't know them, but I would like to get to know them and interview them. And so I think that if we leaned more Republican, we would get those type of looks and that type of platform. And unfortunately, it wouldn't be hard for us to raise money either, but it's like the catch 22 of like, is it at the cost of your soul? Like, like, or do you do it as like like the spook that sat by the door and you infiltrate and you pretend that you're okay with it just to get the money and then like do the gotcha. Now I got y'all
Right.
money. Let me
No, yeah, I
start.
mean, you're right, Janae, but I just wish like the Dems were more cool that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they miss out on so many of those moments. Like, all right, so even with me, like how I view things, right? I love to champion like the the little people, so to speak, or you know what I mean? Like, to give people an opportunity who normally would never have an opportunity to do something. Like, I love to give those kind of opportunities and those experiences. You know what I mean? And so that's the disappointing part for me from that side. You know what I mean? Is that yeah, again, we're nonpartisan with our move, but ultimately, you know, how I view how the Dems operate versus how the Republicans operate. I wish that the Dems would have a little bit more of that vibe in them to kind of do those kind of give those kind of opportunities.
I agree. And I like, it's no secret that the Democratic Party has its issues. I think there is elitism. I think there's racism. I think there's, a lot of unspoken things that they appear to be more progressive policy wise, but I think organizationally, I think the same things that exist in the world, in the society of the United States when it comes to segregation and discrimination and racism, I think that exists within the Democratic Party. And I would challenge anybody else who would tell me different, because there are people within the party, I believe, that think that they know what's right and what's best for the Black community. They don't think they have to work for our vote. And I think that's rooted in racism. And it may not be, the KKK level overt racism, but I think it's unbiased. I mean, not unbiased, but it's I can't think of the word, but it's like something that's not cognizant to them. Like they're not conscious that they're actually doing it. And there's a
Right.
word for it, but it's like you're not realizing that as a white person, that leads this group, that you're not listening to Black people when they say this is how you should reach our communities. This is what works, and this is what we want to see. And I wholeheartedly believe that the Democratic Party works in that way. I think that's why they've been ineffective. I think that's why they've been losing. And I like the way that the Republicans are bold. They have a plan, they have marketing, and they're loyal, and they give their money. And I feel like if anything the Dems will want to learn from, they could learn from that. And I mean, sometimes I would wish I leaned more right, because I honestly, financially, I'd probably be in a better place. Now, I want to be able to hold my head up high when I come back home and walk in Black spaces. But it's the, like you said, the support that's given um to people in the Republican Party, especially if you're Black. You don't get it in the Democratic Party. You have to be in with whoever is in leadership and hope that they throw you a bone or work with
Right.
you. And everybody has their people that they work with. And so it's hard, like you said, infiltrating what their system is, because it already feels built in. It feels very insulated. It feels like this is our thing. We know what we're going to do. And if we want to work with you, we'll let you know. Whereas I feel like if I started a Republican podcast today, I would have them beating down my door like, hey, come do this. I don't think it
Right.
would be hard for them to find me. But I guess because I'm a Black woman who talks about democratic things, and because I lean more left in some of the policies that I agree with, that I don't feel like the Democratic Party is going to be beating down my door to work with me in any way.
Well,
Besides
that
local
was
candidates who already know me.
well. I would agree with everything you just said, and you said it so gracefully and so intentional. Because what I've been paying attention to with this election cycle, one coming up next week, um, yeah, and the one coming up in November, I've been paying attention to how a lot of the new Black candidates, you know, you name it, have been getting little to no, support, little to no support.
Mm,
We know early voting started already. Big shout
started
out to our
today.
show producer Tammy.
Hmm.
Um, but I've been watching them get little to no support from from the Dems
The
themselves,
machine.
from the machine. So I just don't know what it's gonna take ultimately. Whether it's an unfortunate stand. I mean, we're trying to push back against people saying, they don't want to be a part of the voting process with just vote, period. But after a point, just like Dr. Umar said in a clip that I posted on Just Vote Period's Instagram, like at what point do we make people accountable for the promises that are made and we make a stand on it? Whether it's actually not voting or whether it's voting for the op in order for, you know, those promises that have been made to us to be upheld. You know what I'm saying? For them to start taking us seriously, or to have our voice be a part of a collective force that can actually really do something,
I think it comes with education. And I think, I'm gonna keep saying that understanding this process and using it to your benefit is going to be the key to change. I think it looks like us voting in large numbers and raising money in large numbers, but really like voting in large numbers to me, because even if you don't have the money, you still have your vote. Like we all have that. And so I feel like if we don't hold people accountable, but the reason why we don't do it is because we don't understand how the process works. And so if, say for example, we could just take it on a very local level. If you have
Mhm.
a representative, congressperson, not even congressperson, council person that you voted in because you wanted a new park in your area, and that everybody in your community wanted this new park, and this person said, I'm gonna go get the money for it and I'm gonna get it done, and y'all elect me. And so they have that time to get it done. And this person does no work toward it. They start funding other things or doing stuff or not doing anything. Then the community should say, you know what, such and such, we're voting you out. You're fired because you didn't do what we needed. We're going to raise up a new candidate that we're going to put against you. They're going to win. We're voting you out. You're going to lose your job. And if we actually started doing that and like really flexing our power as a group, then I think we would see more change. The issue with that is getting people, a large group of people on one accord, but also too, just having them to understand that process. Because being civically engaged, if you're not a nerd like me who loves that type of stuff and I like dig into local politics, I don't care where I am, I always watch local news in any city that I go to because I just love to know what's going on like locally. And so if you're not a person who follows, and you don't have to be that type of person, but it's something that requires you to be engaged. And I think the system is designed for us to be tired, to be bothered, to be like, I don't have time to learn about this resolution or this law or this policy. And so it's by design, I think, to have us not be engaged so that they can do stuff behind a veil of secrecy. And so I think that if more people understood the process of what it takes to make the government work for them, then I think we would see more change. And I also think that the Black voting bloc should not be tied to any party. I think we should be
Mm,
independent. And I think that they both, I think it should be almost some type of like we had our own convention and it was like, okay, which one of y'all motherfuckers finna give us what we want? Because I could
right.
go this way or that way because I'm not married to either one of y'all. Because both of y'all have done fuck shit over the years to Black people historically. So none of y'all really, really at the root of who you are at your core, like how you started, were for Black people. Okay. Because Black people used to be Republican. So let's just, we can always switch. And I wish we did that. I wish we switched for whoever came and courted us with the best thing that they were going to do for us. And we're like, okay, we got you. We'll vote for you. We'll raise, we'll organize, we'll give you all our Black girl magic and our Black guy magic and get you elected because you're going to do what we want you to do. And if you don't, we're going to not vote for you and we're going to make you lose your job. And I wish we had that type
Mm,
of, quorum and collective. And I also think this is happening too. And I think Brian spoke on it and Robert and Dwight in previous episodes. There are people who sit at the head of these organizations. I just talked about one, and I'm not going to say that he's bought and paid, but I'm just saying there's a disconnect with people, Black people, who sit at the top of large organizations that are affinity groups for Black people, and they're not speaking the language of the people, the everyday Black person. They're not even coming to me with like coming to get like a consensus of like what do the
right,
people
right, right.
I represent for NABJ or NAACP or Urban League or BET. Well, no, that's not an organization, but like all of
Yeah,
these
yeah.
organizations that
These
do civic,
outlets. Yeah,
yeah, these all these organizations that do civic work for Black people around, social issues and policy. Um, and I'm like, y'all don't come and see what we want as a group and how you can get in these, you have power to be able to get in these rooms to advocate for us and represent us. And there's a disconnect because I think either they're afraid because if they're not, to me, if they don't work in a safe space where their job is safe, they may not want to ruffle feathers, or they're getting paid. And I
the
think
crazy
that,
part.
and because of that, I feel like they're not going in and totally advocating for us. And I can't remember if we was talking about this on or off the record, but somebody that we know in common said that they were invited to a very important space in Washington, D.C. I'm not even gonna give all the details because I can't remember what but I think you remember what I'm saying, where they were like they were there representing a younger demographic of Black people. And they said that these some of these groups that I named were taking deals and like that's good enough for me. And they were
Yeah,
like, wait, I thought we were supposed to come here to come together to ask for something. And it was like, well, this organization got what they wanted, so they left. And I'm like,
yeah.
you go in and you get what you want. Is it even good for the organization that you represent, or is it just good for you?
Right,
And
right.
so that is also the issue too, which I feel like at some point, I know you and I are talking about organizing, and I spoke to a lot of people, especially across the state of Florida, of like just trying to figure out how do we get together, especially speaking on what Dr. Umar said of like, we have to figure out a way to get people to understand like we can't just give away the vote in a sense. We have to demand something. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know if that starts with us doing something monthly, if that's a class, if that's an e-course that we create. Is that something that we start trying to like do one by little to like really infiltrate the community in a sense of like maybe like if somebody say for example you meet a single mom somewhere and she's like I don't know nothing about that politics stuff, and you give them a link, hey, this is something that tells you what you need to know, something easy. I'm like I don't know what that looks like, but I don't think that we could wait on saviors anymore. I don't think these old as organizations that was around with Dr. King and stuff like that, I don't think they know what it is and they don't move fast enough. And I think it
Right.
looks like people like me and you saying, let's create something new If y'all want to come in and come and play with us, you can, but we're not waiting on you to get what we need. And I
Well,
think we've
unfortunately,
been
a
waiting
lot
on
of them
so many.
treat politics like they do religion, which I think is
Oh,
crazy. Which I think is
child.
crazy.
Who, black people or just these
Yes,
organizations?
black people, they treat
Oh yeah.
politics like they do religion. So they're not even open to having any discussions with you about anything. So to me, that's the, you know, that was the reason for, again, for Just Vote period, because I felt like there was no real safe space. It's just like, oh, I'm black, you have to be democratic, and you have to do this and you have to do that, and no, you don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you, Janae. Like like, make it make sense. Make things make sense to me. Don't, like, don't just assume because, you know what I'm saying, me and you look alike, that we have the same values and we want the same things in life. You know what I'm saying? So, but like, if you dare even, like, say to uh, um some black people that you're a Republican, or you're a Trump fan, it's almost like saying you worship the devil, and it's almost blasphemy. You know what I'm saying? And they're not even open to, like, your opinion of why or what or anything. They're just closed-minded, and I don't understand how we move forward like that. Like, like, have a conversation. Like, hey, you may have had, this is what I used to tell my mom, right? Um, when I was younger, and she would always try to, like, push me towards, religion, right? And I always had a struggle with it. She'd always, and again, this is young me. I used to have to say to her, Mom, you had 40, 50 years to figure it out
Mm,
and do your bullshit and have your ups and downs to come to this conclusion at age 40 or 50 when she told me this, right? I'm 18. I'm not trying to hear what you're saying right now. It does not equate. It's
yeah.
not making any sense to me. I want to have a good time. I want to do Satan-like things, according to you. And this makes me happy. This is what I know. This is what I'm feeling. You had your opportunity to have that. And because now at 40, 50, that you see things different, you want me to be you at 40, 50 at 18 when you wasn't that at 18.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
No, I actually like that analogy in the sense of like, let me figure it out. I'm not just going to be spoon fed whatever it is that you're telling me to
right,
do.
right,
Like, I want to see the truth for myself.
right.
And I think that at the very least, like, whoever you vote for, whatever you believe, like, I think that's fair. Like, let somebody else figure it out. I don't think, like you said, we have this weird relationship to politics as if these people are like godlike and we can't.
Yeah,
Also, too, let's just talk about the vestiges of slavery and the fact that we're so afraid of like losing that we hold on to anything that's exalted so we don't challenge it. So it's like, well, let's not shake the table because y'all know they only give us one black person a year to do XYZ. So if we're critical of it at all, they're gonna take it away from us. So let's just get them there and just give them,
everything is
like,
fear-based. Everything is
yeah, it's
fear-based.
fear. That's a good point. It's definitely fear-based, and it's that mindset of like, "Oh, we're afraid that massa gonna take them away, so let's just get them there and not say nothing." And then we forget, or we're trained not to question them because it's like if you do question them, then what if they lose their position? Now we don't got nobody there. Maybe we weren't getting all 10 things that we wanted, but he gave us 3, and that's better than the 0 that the white person was giving us. So let's just get along and get along. And I'm like tired of that. I just feel like there was a time when that was true. I don't think we still live in that time.
Right,
And I think
right.
that, like you said, being able to do your own research and being able to form your own opinions, that's okay. Like, I have no issues with somebody who's a Trump supporter. I do have issues with people who are self hating black people who, speak down on us in front of white people. That do have a problem with, Candace Owens and the like. But if you're just somebody who's like, I like Trump's policies, yes, some of the things, like, it's crazy. We were literally listening to a guy who my fiance knows from college, who's in radio in Atlanta, and he's a Trump supporter. But listening to an interview with him, he's like, "Nah, I didn't like that. No, that was problematic, but I like this about Trump." And I was like, I can rock with that type of person because to me, at least you could see the BS for what it is. Like if you're
Right.
blindly, cheaply following somebody where you know they're doing some problematic shit and you're just like trying to tell me, oh no, that's not problematic. I'm like, yeah, you're a sheep. And I feel that way about any person who follows a Democrat that way. Like you just blindly believe in everything and loving everything and thinking everything is right. And so
Yeah.
I feel like there's a space for that nuance to me.
Yeah, because if that's the case, you're a fanatic. You know what I'm saying? And I
You're a
can't take you
zealot.
seriously. And another thing is, if you have to shit on somebody else in order for me to understand your point, that's another problem for me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If you want me to like something, do it based on that something. Tell me why I should like that something. Don't show me the op and tell me about the op in order to like. So so in other words, what you're telling me is that hate this other situation so much that I'll accept the next one.
I think that's collectively what happened with Joe Byron. And as much as I liked him and wanted to support him, I feel like the people as a whole was like, no, like he's not the better option either. Like,
Mm,
get us somebody better if you want our vote, Democrats. Like,
yep,
and that's collectively what it kind of was too.
yep. This was great, JT. I'm happy we kind of like were able to vent out a few things and touch some current affairs and stuff like that on the aftermath. You know.
No, definitely. I think it's a great end to season or series one as we gear up for the next series that'll kick off September 11th. So we're taking a little break, y'all, a little hiatus. We need it. We need it. We need to
We've
regroup,
been
but
running and
also
gunning for
too,
2 months.
yes, I don't think y'all understand the energy that went into this show. And for this has just been a different lift, even for me. And I know for you, PK, like I think we're both used to doing our other shows on autopilot. We've been doing it for years. And
Yeah,
so it's easier for us to do that. But like learning the dynamic of how we use our software and working with each other in this capacity and guests and scheduling and getting everything together. It's a different lift. And so
yeah.
it's a labor of love though. And so I want y'all to know it's not as easy for us to do it, but we feel like it's so important for us to have this type of conversation with you all or have these type of conversations and just putting this out in the atmosphere because it's needed.
I don't think I could have found a better person in this world to do my first podcast with, Janae. So I would like to end off this series one by thanking you so much for teaching me about the podcast game and helping me with certain things and allowing me to have such a pleasant first experience, being a co-host of my first podcast with That Bar Podcast 305. I really, really appreciate it. This has been fun. I'm very excited about series two. I want to continue doing this with you. We're gonna find ways to be, more efficient. We're gonna find ways to do it better. We're gonna find ways to raise money. And I'm telling y'all this right now. Y'all got away with series one. We ain't asked y'all for shit, okay? But don't play with us come series two. We have delivered, ladies and gentlemen. And those who know me and know Janae, we always like to prove ourselves first. We like to say, hey, this is what we think we could do. Or here's what it is. If you touch it, you feel it, you like it, you believe in us. Now we're gonna need your support going into series two. And just for those who are trying to understand why we call it a series versus a season, usually seasons are like a year. So when you're watching a TV show, season one, season two, they're usually like a year or mid-season. So because we're doing this like 3 to 4 times within a year, is why we calling it series. You know what I mean? Versus seasons. But yeah, so we are gonna need your support. We'll figure
Yes.
out how and we'll present it, but you're gonna see it coming for series two, how you can definitely support us so that we can continue to level up, bring you some great podcast and some great guests and definitely take things to another level. But Janae, thank you so much. Thank you to Tammy. You guys have
Yes.
really made this a really good experience for me. I had so much fun, so much good experiences, so much knowledge I've acquired out of this, and I'm really excited to dive into series two with you guys.
No, the same way. Definitely big, huge shout out to our producer Tammy who got us
Yes.
through and you guys, if you guys saw some of the stuff behind the scenes, the way she stepped in and helped us out, like definitely gotta say a huge thank you. Um, and PK, how can people follow us before we get out of here
That
for
part.
as we end series one? Oh my gosh.
Yes, yes. This is the close of our series one, but please follow us on social media. I'll start with myself because it's up there at Papa_Keith and at Just Vote period. Please follow those two, and then you can follow my sister, my co-host, the amazing Janae Tate at Janae Tate on social media, and please follow Hilo News as well. Hilo News will definitely keep you updated on things that are happening right here in South Florida, things that are important to you, millennials, Gen Xers, Black and Brown community, not your grandmama's news. Definitely make sure you follow and subscribe.
Oh, I love when you say our tagline. Well, thank you,
Sure.
PK. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon.
Yes, yes,
I'm be-
yes. We got
I'm a,
some work
I'm a,
to do, sis.
we
All right.
definitely do. I'm gonna be in Miami soon. Back
Yes,
home.
can't wait. Well, I owe you a dinner.
You owe me more than that.
I owe you a dinner and a trip to New York. How's that?
Yes, and a trip to New York. Yes.
All right.
Only if you could come. Only if you could come too.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's go. Let's go. But thank you all. We appreciate y'all. We love you, our family members. Thank you so much for your support, our friends, and of course, our
Yes.
new visitors. If you're checking this as your first one, please go back and check out. We have 7 other amazing shows with some amazing people. You're guaranteed to gain some knowledge and understanding from it. And some of these people are also running for election coming up next week in South Florida. So it gives you another opportunity to see if these are some people that you want to, shade out that oval for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we would be remiss because our producer Tammy will get us together. We got to say like and subscribe, hit that like button, share with a friend. Look, I mean, I every little bit helps. I think for us to be able to reach almost 100 subscribers within the last 8 weeks has been really dope. So,
Yeah.
like, get us to 100. Can we get 100 before we start the next series? Share this,
We
like
will.
it. Get us over 100, okay? And but also to thank y'all for engaging with us on social media. We see y'all over there as well. I appreciate y'all. Also, too, thank you to our third co-host, which I call is the comment section in the live chat. Y'all have it going on, and I appreciate y'all for watching and commenting live. Like y'all are definitely a integral part of the show as well.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, man. We love you. We appreciate you.
Bye.